Discover the Women in Tech Trailblazers podcast, hosted by Tiffany Benitez. Here, the complexities of being a woman in the tech industry are unraveled through discussions on key issues, personal growth, and how to succeed despite systematic challenges. It's a source of empowerment and inspiration for all women at all stages of their tech careers. Welcome to Women in Tech Trailblazers. I'm so excited to be back with you. I'm Tiffany Benitez, the host of Women in Tech Trailblazers, and excited to be back today with another incredible guest. I'm telling you, not that I didn't know there were already a ton of incredible women, but I feel like the way I'm meeting people and connecting and we're finding each other, because it's not Tiffany always finding people, it's just incredible. But super excited today. We are going to be talking about AI, big surprise. Everyone's talking about AI in the boardroom, in the community, right? Everyone's talking about it. But I think that the reason we're really bringing this topic to the forefront today, which is not only AI, but how we as women will be leading and on that forefront, is super important, because as we continue to evolve and all that's taking place and changing at such a rapid pace, knowing what our value and our place is in that is something that is super important for us to be talking about. So I have an incredible guest here. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Laura Fu. She has spent her career building revenue teams and designing sales systems that deliver results. With nearly 2 decades of experience across startups, global SaaS companies, she led go-to-market transformations that drive clarity, speed, and sustainable growth. Today, what's she doing today? Laura leads revenue strategy and operations at DevRev, where she explores how AI is reshaping how sales teams learn, operate, and perform. She is passionate about sharing those learnings with the broader community through her writing, including her first book, which I'm going to let her do a super exciting announcement on that in just a minute, which is Designing for Excellence, Sales Enablement in the AI Native World, and as the host of the State of Union of the AI Union. And that is also a podcast. So you guys know my heart is us as women coming together, even those of us that are doing similar things and locking arms. So I try to do that as much as I can. And so she has her podcast, the State of the Union, the AI Union, and it is featuring candid conversations with operators, founders, and product leaders shaping the future of go-to-market execution. So she is in Palo Alto, and she brings a builder's mindset and a global perspective, balancing leadership, learning, and family life as a proud mom of 4. I love that last part, because I think we get super, give me your bio, we give all the incredible things that we have achieved, but love seeing your babies in there, because that is also a huge achievement. So Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Wow, fantastic introduction. That was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited to have you here. As we always say, and as you know, even by the name of our podcast, we are really here to talk about all the things that we shove aside that we just, for whatever reason, don't talk about as women. And meanwhile, we all kind of struggle in silence, thinking we're the only leaders or the only people really navigating and dealing with this. And as we continue to move forward, there needs to be a theme of us showing up as our whole selves. And so we always ask our guests, the first thing that we ask is, what does authenticity mean to you?
What a deep question. I think authenticity means that we continue to stay true to what I value. And although how that may show up depends on whom I'm interacting with, because I do feel that to be authentic, you want to be mindful of the person that you're engaging and whether they will be able to see what your values mean in that engagement.
Love that. So, and my favorite part of this question is no one ever has the same answer, right? That's the point. We all have what does this mean to us? So I've never heard the perspective of what does it mean? How does that translate to different people, right? Because we're speaking to different people, or maybe we're in different rooms or audiences, even when the question is asked. And so do they know what that means to us? And do we know how to translate it back to that person? I don't know. I really love that perspective. So let me ask you a question. I read your bio. So you've got incredible successes and you've done amazing things. First, tell me a little bit about your book. I'm a reader, and this year it's been a major goal for me to I love reading, and I don't do a lot of it. I didn't do a lot last year because I'm busy. We're always too busy for everything. But I've made it a goal this year of focusing on reading, because I do love it and it's good for my soul. So tell me about your book.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Well, here it is right here. It's my first business book. It's called Designing for Excellence, Sales Enablement in the AI Native World. And it's really about how sales teams need to shift in operating, orchestrating, building systems in order to survive in this new AI native world. And it's not just about like putting AI on top of existing processes, but it's actually about like changing the way that you do sales, the way that you engage with your customers, and that whole all of those touch points I group under the umbrella of sales enablement, right? Because it's really teaching sellers how to become better at what they do. And I am very proud to say that over the weekend, just a few days after it launched, it reached the #1 bestseller spot. I was #1 for one day only, but that's okay. Hopefully down the line we will reach more people, but I'm super proud and grateful to be able to get there.
Oh, so if you didn't hear, go buy that book. Show us one more time, so in case they didn't get it.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay, go get the book. I'm excited. I'm ordering as soon as we get off. Okay, so we're here talking as women in tech, right? And I think that there's, there's no misnomer, right? We're 28% nationally, so the numbers are what the numbers are. Across your career, I mean, I know you like specifically, like you said, kind of grew up in that sales enablement space. Have you encountered like any gender bias or, just being the only person in the room in any way, shape, or form? And like, how do you really like navigate that?
So I'm actually going to go rewind a little bit and just insert my background story here. So I actually grew up in Singapore. And I grew up in Singapore and I attended an all-girls school from the time I was 6 to 16. And in many ways, the gender bias or gender ceiling maybe is less of an issue in Asia because of the help that is available there. And so in these girls' schools that we attended, we were taught, and I grew up believing that like we could do anything. Like if you wanted to do anything, you could do anything, and there was nothing preventing you. Like you can send your kids to daycare, you can have a live-in nanny, and all of those things were actually possible. So I only encountered this gender bias and difference and challenges. I think I really only encountered what that really meant when I moved here to the United States and I started in the tech industry. Before I was in tech, I was a chef in the kitchen, and there were also a lot of men in the kitchen. So I did see a little bit of that there as well. And your question was, have I encountered like gender biases, right? I'd say in sales, it is also predominantly male driven. There are a lot of men in sales on top of it being a more male dominated industry in tech itself. I think that while there are a lot of women advocates, while a lot of men are women advocates, right? Something that shows up a lot is two things. The first is being a mom actually exposed a lot of gaps in the system, right? Including, for example, well, if I'm being asked to go to a business dinner, right? I'm a single mom, so I don't have help or a partner, right? Who pays for that babysitting? Right. Whereas for a lot of my male counterparts, that wasn't an issue. They could go and they wouldn't have to think twice about it. I think the other thing that kind of showed up too was I did see that depending on how I said something or how something was demonstrated or a decision that I was making, no matter how good that decision was or whether it aligned with the business or not, it was the way that somebody perceived how I was saying it more than what it was I was saying. And so going back to your question on authenticity and what staying true to your values mean, even if my values were the same as another person, right? It was really important that I was able to demonstrate that to the other person so that they could see it as well, because the interpretation of that was actually even more important than sometimes maybe the value itself, because it could really be misinterpreted.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The thing that I'm loving there's a lot of things I'm loving about AI. Also, I'm in governance. So I'm going to say that because I always have my risk hat on, which usually are like the no's and the naysayers. But my approach is a little different. I think like it's great. It's here. Let's use it. Let's just make sure we're responsible and we understand what we should be. But my favorite part, tying back like what you were just talking about with AI, is that since the beginning of time for many of us has kind of been our thing that holds us back, or the thing that we have to fight harder against, is actually what I think is truly going to propel us. in this age of what machines can't do, right? Mm-hmm. So if you think about, we talk a lot about the human characteristics, right? Of like, hey, what are the things that machines can't do? And you look at the things that we as women are strongest at, like the collaborator, right? Bringing it all together, like strategy, like those types of things are typically roles that women take on, right? Those are the roles that we're kind of handed, and that's where our skill set is really, really strong. But so when the machines can do all of the other things, what will be left? Yeah. Right? And this is where, like, what are your thoughts on just that topic overall? We've shared it now, like women truly being on the forefront of AI, and just like what's always like, first of all, let me move to anywhere in Asia or Singapore if that's the case, because like I want my daughter to know, like I tell her you can do anything you want to do, but like imagine like a country and a culture that tells you that, like how different things would be. So I love that. But what are your thoughts on this, like women being the forefront and just like how we really take what's kind of been shown as our weakness and make it our superpower? Before we jump back in, a quick thank you to Women in Technology of Northwest Arkansas for being part of this journey. We cannot thank them enough. They continue to create space for women to grow, connect, and lead in tech. Let's get back to the conversation.
Yeah. I think sometimes when people think of AI and expertise in AI, they're thinking about the technical expertise. And we already know that, less women are pursuing those higher level technical elements. However, these technical elements, I think, can be most easily solved with the machine and with AI. What the AI needs from us actually is more guidance, right? And I see guidance in three things. The first one is guidance in how the LLM is actually trained, right? And that can come in the form of, one, challenging the AI. And you may have seen, like, there's a lot of discussion right now, like ChatGPT agrees with me a lot, etc. I think that women were just trained more to be more skeptical of their own opinion. And so that gives them the skill to actually challenge the AI more and say, hey, are you sure about that? For example, when I was writing my book, I actually went to several different LLMs and asked, like, what do you think of this? How can I refine this idea? And that gave me more solidification, I guess, of the concepts in my mind. So women are just better at that because they've been trained to doubt themselves a little bit more and challenge, right? I think the next thing too is around the empathy that we can have and the empathy and gender bias, right? So when we see those results in the LLM, we're more likely to be aware of it because because we've experienced it, right? So the biases that come. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is in having conversations. We know that AI, how you're going to interact with AI is going to be in having more conversations and being able to articulate what it is you want. And again, I think women have just had more training in being better listeners, which means that they're also better conversationalists, right? And for example, as a mom, I'm getting a lot better at giving instructions to my children, which I also see as the instruction that I'm giving to the AI. So I think we have more training in those arenas that allow us actually to lend ourselves to AI if we wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think where we've really got to focus in as women, though, is that all of that's really great. But if you look at the data right now, I think it's between 23 and 25% of women that are actually using AI. So take it back to all the things we're afraid of, all the new things, the risk, right? The things that typically hold us back from like even applying for jobs. So in order for us, like we really have this grand opportunity in front of us, right? To really lead something incredible and to use the things that we always thought were, not for us or held us back to truly like propel us. But it means that we're going to have to use it. It means we're going to have to like stand up and really move forward in it. And I guess that's my big encouragement. And what are your thoughts around that data point?
Yeah, it's surprising to me that actually only 23% of women are using AI. I don't know why that might be, right? I do think, though, that going back to how we like to make sure that, we're correct and like kind of what, like double check, sense check our numbers and our data. We as women tend to like go to our friends and ask them and like we want to do that, right? one of the things that I think women can really leverage AI with is using AI as your friend or group, right? And that could be a very easy way to just like get started, so instead of having to wait till your friend is actually available, you could ask the AI first, and that could be a really good way of getting an additional perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about how you look at it. So let's just be real. Everyone's afraid of what they don't know and understand. That's
Correct.
the whole deal. And that
Yeah.
goes to way more than what we're talking about AI, right? Like where people like shut down and are afraid and all that. It's just what they don't understand. And so I think to your point, like starting to use it for like even basic things to like help you simplify things in your life. Like I don't know any woman that's not looking for some help to like simplify all the things we carry. So use it for even little things. So I guess that's my encouragement is like, let's start using it, ladies. And again, it doesn't mean you have to go like dump your like entire work stuff in there, right? Again, know and also understand how you should be, but like simple things to help you figure out or to do things even with your children. So this is like stay at home mom all the way to CEO. Like find ways for it to make your life easier. Like there are agents that can literally take your calendar and put it into some like all of your tasks and put it into some like neat little calendar that you really had to do nothing, right? And so I think finding ease of use, it'll really start building a relationship with it, right? You
Correct.
almost start to trust it. And I think that's the thing with women is like, we're going to let everybody else use this and test it and see if it works. And then if it does, like, I'm happy to use it, but we've got to like start pushing ourselves out there to really try and know and understand. And I think something else that's really been top of mind for me is that we're all, and this is everyone, this is not even like a woman thing. We're all trying to evaluate, okay, things are changing at a rapid pace, like faster than we've ever seen. Not that there haven't been other transformations, but this is moving at a much different pace. With that, what skill sets should we be looking at? Like if we are evaluating our careers or how things could possibly change, like what do you think the top skill sets on what women should really be honing in on and focusing in on for what's coming?
Yeah. I am hiring more for skills that are softer and the capability to get somewhere versus the current ability. And the two capabilities and soft skills that I think, are super important, two of them. One is just natural curiosity. Just like, are you curious about why something works, how it works, and why we're there, how we get there? Because I feel like if you are naturally curious, you will find a way to resolve it. And then the other one too is your willingness to experiment and take some of those risks, right? Just like you said, some women, not all women, are more risk averse. And I think that as women, sometimes we are more risk averse because we don't have as much time available, right? Like, I think about my day and having to, pick my kids up, send drop them off. And like a lot of these household tasks like generally tend to fall on women, and so we have less time available to be like, okay, well, I can experiment, but experimenting takes time. If it doesn't work, I'd rather do it in a way that I know works. This is the amount of time it takes, and that predictability is so important to us, right? And at the same time, if we want to grow as human beings, I think we do need to lean more into being okay with those experiments failing, being wrong, and not feeling like it's a personal defect, right? And just totally being okay with that. A lot of that I think also falls on the employer and how your leaders are basically saying, hey, you can fail, like you can try this experiment, see if it works, right? Measure it, test it. I think when women do lean into experiments, they are actually better because they have a time frame involved, right? There are time bound limits, and they can measure it really clearly because they want to know straight away, does it work or not? So those are the two things I think I would really heavily lean on. And if you can show that you're really open to experiments, you're very curious, you ask questions, you find ways to get things done, I think those are good skills to have right now.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I know I do a lot of work with the next generation as well. And we have a large like Girls Plus in Tech audience that follows as well. So I think as you guys are even thinking like, okay, how am I prepping myself? Like, what am I going to study? Like beyond just degrees, like the soft skills are huge. Like coming out of college, I think the amount of like interns and, straight out of college students that I've hired, it's like the biggest gap we see is the soft skills. They're really incredible, in everything else that they've learned, but really honing into those soft skills. And I think to your point, like those are the human skills that we won't be able to replace. And so I really, really love that perspective. Do you find places? So I'm really big about community. So no matter where you live, what you love, like you can figure out what that is. But do you think, what is the value of being able to stay up to speed with what's going on and really having that driven from the communities you plug into? Do you think that that's a huge value? Do you think there's other places? Like, where do you kind of get plugged in and really help move yourself forward?
I'd say that I have a little bit of an unfair advantage living here in Silicon Valley, where, the access to technology and whatever kind of community that you want, especially when it comes to AI, you can find it. Like it's around the corner. If you don't have that same kind of access, I really encourage you to find something like that, like online. Either one doesn't exist, you can start one as well. If you are really interested in a specific thing around AI, a verticalization, a specialty, find something and people will come to it, so huge, I think huge proponent of that.
That's like my motto. If there's not a table, just make one. It's literally
I
fun.
love it.
Like you
Yes.
don't have to constantly like keep finding where I need this and it's not here. What do I do? Or just be sad, like no, just create one. There's probably a ton of other people that need it too that would
Yes.
love to come be part of it. I really love that. Okay, so our last question is also one that we always ask, and it's I think probably one of my favorite questions, but because I think it gets to a deeper level with the guest. So it's a two-part question, and it is if number one, what is the legacy that you hope to leave as a woman leader? And then number two, if you could leave, what is one last piece of advice? What would that be?
Wow. Okay, what is the legacy I hope to leave? Well, I have 4 children, 2 are boys and 2 are girls. And for my daughters, I think the legacy that I would love to leave for them is that you really can do anything that you want to do, in spite of the challenges that you might have. And as part of the legacy that you can do anything, you can also help people who do not have the same opportunities as you to allow them to do all those things. So I think it's sort of like twofold, which is like recognizing that not everybody has the same opportunities. And we are all in the position of being able to help other people get a step up of, from where they are to give them those opportunities. I'd say that's something that I really hope I leave both my kids, I mean, both the girls and the boys, with as well. And last piece of advice, is this like legacy related or just like advice in general?
It can be anything you want. Like if you get to leave like you kind of answer like what legacy you want to leave, but like if you got to leave like just one piece of advice, like you've got a whole audience of people, like what last piece of advice would you give?
I would say that staying true to yourself and your values is the most important thing, but it's not more important than how the other person interprets that. And that kind of goes back to authenticity. And we do have to be mindful of, what that looks like, how we show up. And the other part of it is it's okay if not everybody likes you. You're not going to be the flavor of choice for everybody. And that's okay because you're staying true to your values.
I love that. You're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
I love it. This has been an incredible episode. You have such incredible perspectives, and also I love that you've taken like a different flavor on things. And so thank you so much for taking your time out to be here with us today. Super grateful to have had you. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Continue liking, subscribing, and we have a lot in store for you. So we will see you soon. Until next time.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Women in Tech Trailblazers podcast. Thanks for being here. If something resonated with you, please share this episode with your friends, your colleagues, or anyone you know that needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to catch what's next. We'll be back soon with more real stories and honest conversations. Until then, keep showing up and let's keep making space at the table.